Yeah, what's up, dude? Oh, yeah, man. Oh, what a beautiful day. So this one's going to be a little different. I'm not going to really film this as if it's a video. It's just, I want to explore some ideas that have been coming to me recently and share them online. And whoever gets anything out of it, great. If you don't, awesome. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. But this thought has just been coming back and back, and it's something I haven't given enough presence to. And so part of my creative process really is just turning on the camera and then flowing. Not actually thinking about what I'm going to say, but just letting it come through me. And that's the expression of God in the flesh. From my viewpoint, what I see this realm really as is a way for God to experience himself through the different perceptions and perspectives of our egos, like these different individualized characters that he creates. I'm one of those characters, you're one of those characters, everybody's a character. And I just had this thought come back to me, like, where did the thoughts even come from? Where does my ego come from? Where does all my perceptions, all my beliefs, all these things that I carry with me and really control the reality that I live, where do they come from in the first place? And what is that silent observer? Because one of my favorite activities to partake in is meditation. It's complete stillness. It's no action. It's no thought. It's just something primordial within me that draws me back every time, because that presence is unlike anything else I've ever experienced in my entire life. And that is what God is. God is everything. And we are just small pieces of God, but through our religions, through the different ideologies, the philosophies, the education we've received, and just spirituality in general, we always try and label everything. We always try and slap a label on, oh, well, God is over here, we're humans, and we're different, we're separate. But more and more, I'm always drawn to this just idea that really, we're just like an eyeball. Think about an eyeball. If you are that eyeball, can you see yourself? The answer is no. The eyeball can't see itself. It has to be looking outward. And so the entire creation of this realm, the manifestation of physical existence, really is the thought that the original eyeball had, that it wants to be able to see itself. And so it creates all these individualized egos that are God wearing a mask, for lack of better words. That's kind of what we all are. We're all just different expressions of an idea from a higher place, living out that expression in the flesh. It is the thought that starts thinking itself, and God within us is the observer. And so we have this mind and we have this body, but that body is really just the physical vessel for the mind to carry itself, and then the mind is what perceives the reality that goes on outside of it, the illusion. And the experience of life, as I've kind of grown to fall in love with, I used to wrestle with it all the time, and I still do, where I wonder, why do bad things happen? And every time these bad things come up in my perception, I have to bring myself back to this original thought that I am the observer. I am God, but my ego has put this attachment on top of the observation that, oh, well, I'm Brian, and I'm observing negativity going on over here. I'm experiencing this person and my perception of that person, that fractal of God over here, and they're separate from me. All these things are just separate and they're going on, and so I'm rather meaningless in my existence, and they're all meaningless, and there's no meaning to any of it. But the whole meaning that I've come to fall in love with is that based off the observation, you can shift how you want to perceive things. And as you start to shift how you perceive things, then you start creating a new reality to live from. Because consciousness, we all have consciousness, but when we say raising consciousness, I used to be obsessed with this when I first got into the whole esoteric sort of cult. I don't know the fucking word for it. It kind of seems like a cult. But there's this obsession with like raising your consciousness. And really, I don't think you raise consciousness at all. You're just a piece of consciousness, like a drop of water would be in the ocean. But within yourself, you still have all the same consciousness that is included in that ocean. But what separates us from the entirety of the ocean, or separates the ego or the individual from being God, is the awareness and how high your level of awareness goes. So consciousness is not the thing that we really increase in our life. Rather, we increase our awareness, and then as we become more aware, going back to some esoteric stuff, there's like that tree of good and evil. And they say, well, don't eat from the tree. But in actuality, that's kind of what allows you to start creating your reality, is this awareness of both good and evil through your own perceptive lens. Because you get to pick what you choose, your perception, for what gives you the most value in your own particular life. And that is your path as God, is to experience your life to the fullness of it. And so as we go through this entire game, you can start to like see, I guess, the inner workings of where my mind is coming from with this, where if you have an awareness that is God and you are the perception, like you perceive what you see on the outside and you have emotional reactions to it, you'll start to see throughout your life, the more negative the emotional reaction is to something, you're going to start to see more of that something. So it's not like the energy you send off is not going to fix the problem. All it is doing is reaffirming your awareness of the problem. And so the game of life is understanding that this eating of the fruit of good and evil really is just an expounding and expansion of your awareness, and then it is your choice what you want to do with it. That's why we say we have free will, and that free will decision is what you want to be aware of. You can be aware of anything within the realm of consciousness because you are God. You have access to the entirety of the ocean, but the droplet of water that you want to be perceiving is based off of your awareness of that ocean of consciousness. And it's sort of like the underlying, it's like the subconscious unconscious. Like we all have it within us, but we all have a different flavor of it, a different awareness of it. And that's why some people, they can live right next door to another human being. So, time and space is relatively the same there. They deal with the exact same weather. They probably go to the same places or similar places. But then their awareness is what dictates the experience and the quality of the experience they have. Because they choose what they want to be perceiving, and then they don't feed any more energy to the perceptions that they don't want to be having. And so I don't want to cause anybody to have like an existential crisis where they're like, oh my God, I don't exist. Nothing exists. Like, no, we're still all here. We're still here. Okay? You're just experiencing life through this created separation. And the point of the separation is for God to be able to experience and perceive himself through the different eyes of his own creation. And the true meaning of life is found when the individual self starts to remove some of their attachment to name and job and status and all these different mindsets and beliefs they have and perceptions about other people, about structures, about places and things, and start asking the real question, which is, okay, this iteration of body, this soul that I'm living, if this truly is God perceiving himself in this physical plane, what is the perception that God is trying to see through my eyes? And that is your connection to God, is to realize that your eyes are no different than his eyes. And it's almost like a freeing experience, because then that helped me release a lot of things that I had kept buried down, a lot of traumas, honestly, a lot of addictions, because I started to ask myself, like, hey, I'm not a bad person for having this addiction. This addiction really has me. And so now I need to figure out why, through me as a vessel, through my mind, through my ego, through this self, this body we call Brian, why did God want to experience addiction? What was he trying to learn from this about himself? Don't view it as like God as just being outside of yourself, somewhere up in the clouds, judging you, but more so, he is you. And why is he living the life he is living through your vessel? And when you start to view life through that lens, now you can really start to make some crazy changes. You can start moving your awareness around, because you realize, like, shit, dude, if I can see it in the imagination, if I can see it in my mind's eye, that really is God. Because any form of observation, it comes from above. It comes from that Godhood, that God seat. And you are just the one that is here with the mind and with the body to experience it. And just asking yourself the question of, what do I want to experience? And what does he want to experience through me? And then on top of that, because now we're sitting in the seat of like, hey, I'm God. I have been experiencing this reality from the eyes of God. And he enjoys this. He enjoys everything. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. He enjoys experience. What are the lessons that I can learn in this smaller fragment of God? Because I am not pure awareness yet, but I'm getting there. What can I learn from this experience that is going to change some of my actions, that is going to change some of my mindset, some of my beliefs? And where will that lead me? And then when you make that connection, you start to see, like, holy shit, even all the negative things that you've perceived as bad or negative throughout the past, they've been there to serve you. They've always been there to serve you and to make you better in one way or another, because you grow through those experiences. And then the leap, the next part that I just absolutely love, is the desires. Because I used to think that some of my desires, I was a bad person for having them. But now I ask, hey, that desire that I can see within my imagination, that must be an experience that isn't just meant for me, right? It's not for me. It's for the experience of God through me. And he wants to experience it through me. He created me as a vessel for him to experience. And that's what creates the desires. But the lag in humans and just consciousness in general is the separation of the self from God, as we've been taught in the schools and all the other structures, because they don't want people to know their truest power. Because one of the surest ways to make sure that people play small is to feel bad, to feel terrible about having desires. They're like, oh, well, that's ungodly. Oh, that's so terrible. I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be thinking that way. Who gave you the thoughts? Where did it come from? And it's just experience in general. It's just an experience. And that's the whole point of being human, is experience. So who are you robbing? Are you robbing yourself, which you are? You're not going to experience the fullness of your life, but you're also robbing God of that same experience. He was the one ultimately that gives you these desires in your heart. And so he wants to experience them, whether they're good or bad. Because even if they're a bad experience, once you have the bad experience, you learn something. And that's the same as God learning something. So we really are, it's so fucking crazy to even try and conceptualize. Because when you go deep into that void, that meditative state, you realize like the mind and the body sort of disappear and you are still there, but like energetically there. It's not you anymore. There's no name anymore. There's no title. There's no physical body. There's no mind. And if there's nothing physical outside of you, there's no perception anymore. There's no attachment to things anymore, but there is still pure awareness. There's still that pure observer state. And so that was really big in my journey that I've been, I'm still on the journey. This shit ain't gonna end. Right? You just get more and more aware. And so you just have to keep going through the doors, I like to call them, is like the different experiences, the opportunities, the people, the conversations, and view it from the eyes of God. Stop taking things so fucking literally and personally. And especially like having it as an attack on your ego. Just realize like whatever happens, it's supposed to happen. Not like God is outside of you, but you are God, and the awareness that you are perceiving the event through is God, and he wants whatever that experience is. And that experience is designed in such a way to put you on your path perfectly where you are. And so it's beautiful to conceptualize more so, because then you're like, wow, there really is no bad experience, because every bad experience is something that I'm doing for just the sake of experience and awareness and the whole and the collective in general, right? I'm giving my awareness, my energy to this situation, and I'm going to deal with it how I deal with it. But then on the flip side, you grow from it and your awareness expands due to it. And that awareness, and as it expands, you unlock more pieces of your own consciousness that you've always had, that now you give birth to new desires that come from that God self, the highest version of you that is in most alignment with being one with God. And so as you expand this awareness, as you expand your desires, it really just is more of a proliferation of overall experience for the Creator himself. Because that's what he wants. He wants you to grow. He wants you to expand so you can experience more and not have this separation. He wants us all to realize that, yes, all of your experiences, I'm experiencing them with you. When you have heartbreak, I have that heartbreak. When you have a success, I have a success. And all along the way, all the lessons you learn, I am there with you, and I am expanding with you, and I am feeding you new desires and dreams that go in and fuel. They really fuel your growth, and they fuel me, because I'm here for the fucking ride, baby. I'm here to experience all of it, and all of you get to experience it because I created all of you. And I want to see all of experience through the eyes of all of you all at the same time. And it's a beautiful thing. And it can really help you release a lot of attachments when you start to just take a back seat sometimes, because I know how the ego can get, and we get really strung up on certain things in life and having certain boundaries that got crossed by individuals, and we have belief systems. But just ask yourself exactly what you're experiencing right now. Why would God want to be experiencing this through your eyes? And what can you learn from this experience that can spread and expand your awareness to give you new desires that will lead you to a more fulfilling and amazing life? Just start ask yourself those questions, and just realize that no one is judging you. Absolutely no one is judging you. God's not judging you. He doesn't care. It's not about morality down here. They want to preach that shit because that keeps people stuck. And it keeps them in their head. It keeps them in their thoughts. The true whole meaning of life is just awareness in general and presence in general and just giving yourself and meeting the moment as it comes and viewing the moment as, hey, I'm God viewing this moment, but the other person that I'm experiencing this with is also God experiencing me. And we're all creating this amazing game together. So how can I shift? How can I grow? How can I expand? How can I experience things? Because I am the driver, because I am God. God is me. There is no separation. What does that tell you about your experience and where you want the experience to go? You can ask for anything in life, and if you can see it, you can achieve it, but you got to shift your awareness to it. Because with your awareness, energy flows, and as energy flows, creation goes. Okay? Love you guys. Hope you enjoyed my little untilted TED Talk. Bye.